Hello again, we're on our way to Mudgee, and it's a beautiful little town 261 kilometers northwest of Sydney. It's the shortest day of the year this evening. It's about 5 o'clock in the evening and it's getting cold. We're going to have a lovely weekend away in the Mudgee region. You can come along with us and enjoy some of the sights. Good morning from Frog Rock. This is our first stop 19 kilometers north of the beautiful little town of Mudgee, and we've just come to see Frog Rock. You can see it's a very large granite formation in the form of a crouching frog, and yeah, we just needed to come past and see it. Apparently granite from this area was used to build the new Parliament House in Canberra. Right, we're back on the road and we're heading towards the Drip walking trail. I just thought we'll do a quick little video on the road. So this is sheep and cattle country. There's a lot of farms. It's all vineyards and farmland. You can see on the left, those are sheep. We're very lucky with the weather. It's a beautiful day. We woke up and it was -1, and it seems to have heated up quite a lot. So I think at the moment it's a nice toasty 9 degrees, so that'll be lovely to go and do a little bit of a walk. So the Mudgee area is the area that originally belonged to still belongs to the Wiradjuru people. And they've lived in this area for thousands of years. They identify as the river people and have a deep connection to water. So they are the First Nations people, the original owners and the elders of this area. Mudgee is actually a traditional name. People think it comes from the word muti, which means nest in the hills, which if you look around you can see there are so many beautiful mountains and hills around us. The woman's totem of this group of people is the wedge-tailed eagle, and the men's totem is the crow. Right, we've just arrived at the Drip walking trail, which starts up ahead of us, and there's a little picnic site here where we'll come back and have some coffee. The river is down there below us, the Goulburn River. Huge granite rocks, beautiful. So I think we're going to do the Drip lookout. So that's short walk, 2.8 kilometers. So this is the area of the beautiful lyrebird, which you can see here. So if we're lucky we might see one. Just look at the size of these rocks. I won't talk much because it's such a beautiful area. One just wants to enjoy the peace, the serenity, because not everyone has an opportunity to come out and be in this beautiful, peaceful environment. And we're pretty lucky today because it looks like we may be the only people on the trail. Rocks are covered in moss. Giants, absolute giants. So this area, the Maji area, the European history of the area began with the arrival of the European explorer William Lawson in the early 19th century. The discovery of gold in the nearby hills brought a lot of gold prospectors to the area. And of course, this also resulted in a lot of conflict between the First Nations people, who were the original inhabitants of the area, and the arrival of the armed settlers. Maji is, apart from the obvious tourism aspect, a lot of the work job opportunities in the area come from the mines, the big coal mines in the area. So there are a lot of what they call fly-in and fly-out workers, miners who fly in for a period of time, working on a mine for perhaps a few days or a few weeks, and then flying out again. I'm going to take a right turn here. Look at the size of this fallen tree. Because I'm going to head down towards the river, navigating the stairs with care. But it's so peaceful. Beautiful ferns. So we would be very lucky if we see a live bird. It's a very gentle stream, which I'm sure becomes a raging river when there's a lot of rain. Isn't this just glorious? This is just heaven. Can you hear the water? The water is so clear, so clean. I'm sure there are probably little yabbies somewhere that I'm not seeing, little freshwater crayfish, yabbies, or the fish. So here's first part of the drip, just looking at all the moss and the greenery tumbling off the side of this rock. Just so beautiful. This area is so peaceful. So many ferns. If we're lucky, we will see a lyrebird. Lyrebirds look a lot like a peacock. They have this huge tail, and they are very well known for being incredibly good imitators of other bird sounds. If you Google lyrebird, as in Lyre, you will be amazed at the sounds that they can make. They're beautiful birds. You can hear the water dripping down the side of the rock. So many old trees. Wonder how old this tree would have been. Sure, there are fairies living here. So these wood stumps look like they're almost fossilized. Must be very old. Look at the base of this tree. That's the base of the stump. So we'll be on the lookout for tracks of the red-necked wallabies, and there may be wombat burrows. Apparently there used to be a lot of brush-tailed rock wallabies but they now are disappearing due to foxes and of course a reduction of their habitat. This is also the area in which you would find the boobok, or powerful owls. The powerful owl is it's the largest Australian owl, and it's one of the most threatened of the owls because of the loss of forests. They eat possums and little gliders. Gliders are like little flying squirrels. Brush-tailed possums, which are very common in this area, were some of the favorite food of the Wiradjuru people. They would sew their skins together to make warm coats and of course eat their meat. A lot of freshwater mussel shells can still be found in the old original Aboriginal campsites around the area. And this river was once alive with native fish, eels, tortoises and ducks. One of the common birds in the area is a little rock warbler. It's a small brown bird that only lives in the Sydney Basin. Bobs around on the rocks looking for insects. This is beautiful. It looks almost like a man sitting here. The river is very low at the moment because sometimes apparently when you have to cross these stepping stones, they are often underwater. I can just imagine the little tortoises walking across these muddy areas, and eels. Can you imagine the owls hunting here at night? A large Australian powerful owl. This is like beach sand. This has to be one of the most beautiful trails I've walked on. It's not a long trail, but it is just so beautiful. Sure, that's a little rock warbler we can hear. Must be up there on the rock somewhere. There's a very nice information board. So some of the plants found along the area are the bottle brush, tree violet. It has sharp little spines and produces small green flowers in spring, summer, followed by blackberry. There are lots of different habitats here, from shallow water to river flats, boulder piles and cliff faces. This complexity supports at least 80 species of native plants between the picnic area and the drip. Some plants only appear after rain or in certain seasons. In a wet year it can be very lush. The donkey orchid is beautiful. Isn't that lovely? Leafy twig rush grows in coastal swamps and on lake margins. Here you'll see weeping tussocks sprouting from the cliffs and other damp places. And damp cliff dwellers include ferns and something called the tongue orchid, which produces white flowers in spring. So the national park areas in Australia are always very well signposted. There's always a lot of very good information, which is really nice, so you know what the birds are in the area, the plants. And especially for us newcomers to Australia, a lot of the fauna and flora are not known to us. Have to watch where you're walking, girl. You might lose a few front teeth. Don't know if you caught him. I didn't want to speak. That was the little brown rock warbler that we heard about. He made an appearance quickly. Heard his little peep peep. Beautiful little stone archway. Wow, that is beautiful. Look at that blue sky. Doesn't feel cold today. I think we're very lucky with the weather. And no rain. I've just spotted some beautiful little fungi, little mushrooms. Some more fairy mushrooms. There's just so many beautiful things to take pictures of. This is the flower that we were told about on the board that makes the little spiky leaves. Look at this giant of a tree stretching out over the rock. This makes me think of Middle Earth. One could make a beautiful, magical movie here. I think I may have just spotted my first wombat burrow. The little fella is probably fast asleep in there. It's got a nice little spot underneath this cliff on the road to somewhere magical. Got the river just down below. I've come across another information board which is very helpful, and it explains the layers of rock, which if we zoom in you can probably see the little pebbles. The sandstone is made up of sand grains with quartz pebbles in some of the layers, and this is all stuck together with clay and iron minerals. Weathering etches out the horizontal layers, which are approximately 220 million years old. The pebbles in the sandstone have washed down from the river, and these would have come down from a river in the Triassic times. The rounded particles that are washed down from hundreds of kilometers away are deposited into a huge delta, and these layers would have been built on top of each other over millions of years. Eventually these sediments are buried deeply and changed into solid stone, and then lifted up by earth movements. The rock is now being broken down again, and the sand is being washed out to the sea to form new rock. This sandstone here is part of the Narrabeen group, named after an outcrop on Sydney's northern beaches, but it's spread over most of the large geological structure known as the Sydney Basin. It's about 220 million years old. This is part of the Triassic Age, and about 100 meters thick here and in the northwestern edge of the basin. Beneath the sandstone are layers of older shales and coal, and this would have come from the Permian Age. Rock faces along the track reveal layering, which they call honeycomb weathering patterns. So it's fascinating. If one's a geologist, there would be another whole layer of history that one could tap into. Here once again one can see the power of the river coming through with all the grass and debris that's wrapped around this tree trunk. If you look at the river now, it's just a little trickle. And to think that it becomes this raging force that just powers down through this canyon. There's a lookout point up here which we may go to on our way back, on our return. But we're just heading for a spot where we can have our coffee. We have a thermos flask that we bought for the trip, and I made some lovely spelt rusks. So we're dying to have our coffee and a rusk if we can just get to a spot where we can sit for a minute. I can almost imagine a little platypus coming down here. When we were living in Melbourne on the Great Ocean Road, we went to the Margaret River area, which is renowned for its platypi. I would imagine that's what you call them, platypus. But we never actually saw one because I think they're pretty nocturnal, coming out really at sunset. And of course, we'd gone on a long hike to get to the river and couldn't walk back in the dark, so we never got to see the platypus, but they are there. But I could just imagine a little platypus living here. The water is so clear. I've come down under the drip part of the gorge. There's a huge old tree that was obviously washed up against these beautiful big granite boulders, but you can hear the power of the river behind these rocks. That little trickle obviously becomes more of a big flowing river. I just don't think that we'll be able to get there because we're not equipped to go walking through water. Up against the side of the sandstone cliff you can see the vegetation that's tumbling out of the rock face, the ferns. It's obviously just fed by the moisture in the air as well as the drip coming off from the top of the rock face. When we walked through here, it felt as though there was a little bit of rain, because I'm not sure whether you can see it, but there's a faint sort of curtain of water spray coming off this rock face. The colors are just extraordinary. The greens and the browns, so many different shades. It's quite beautiful. And then this crisp blue of the sky. I wonder where the powerful owl sleeps. If he's up in these trees somewhere. And the little gliders, they probably come out at night and leap from tree to tree. Well, they fly more, sort of like a little flying squirrel kind of animal. I'm sure the wombats come down here for a family meet-up. This pair of crows has come down to investigate what we're eating. He's very inquisitive. He's making little noises. There's one above him. They're obviously a pair. They are beautiful birds. And as I mentioned earlier, this is the female totem, the male totem of the Wiradjuru people is the crow. Look at the sunlight on his beak. Okay, he's going to do some stripping of bark. So we're walking back now from the river, and I see the crows are following us. But I've just spotted this beautiful little, well, it's not a little rock, it's a big rock. But if I was a few years younger, I would have been sure that there were fairies living in there. It's for sure a little fairy house. The water dripping off the top. Well, we'll carry on walking and see if the crows follow us back to the car. Look at the range of green in this one small patch. All the different shades. And the sound of the water dripping from the cliff face. This is such a beautiful area. You can just imagine the little rock wallabies, the brush-tailed possums, the gliders leaping from tree to tree. I think there are foxes in the area. Nighttime the owls will come out. And during the day it's a little brown rock warbler. Just listen to the silence. Not a sound. Look at this amazing tree, how it's grown around this massive boulder. It must be so old. if you touch the moss on these rocks, it's like velvet. It's so soft. So it's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And this tree has grown on top of this rock. We haven't seen any wallabies, but I would imagine they are probably on the other side of the river where there's more open ground for them. Looks like there's some rain heading our way. We've been so lucky. It's been the most perfect morning.